I am MizzCrow and welcome to my video. Today we're going to be talking about one of the most influential animes, at least in my life, Tokyo Mew Mew, or in the English dub, Mew Mew Power. So let's get into that. So today we're going to be talking about the new remake that will be making an appearance very soon, as well as the original show and how it might keep up or might not, or what I feel about it, because this is my favourite anime, and to be quite honest, I'm hella excited for a brand new show to come out with this new animation style, especially as they have changed a few of the characters ever so slightly from the original show. But anyway, for those of you who don't know what Tokyo Mew Mew is, sit back, relax, and I will explain it all to you right now, so let's go.
And I said, you wish!
Okay, Zoe, so what's the deal?
Yeah, what's going on?
Huh? What do you mean?
Now, before we talk about the show, I'm going to be talking about specifically the production company behind this, which I believe is pronounced Piro, and this anime was released on the 6th of April 2002, and the English dub was released by none other than the overlords themselves, 4Kids. Now, if you don't know anything about 4Kids, they're not the best dubbing company, I know, but it was pretty abysmal, I'm not gonna lie, but it is the version that I grew up with. So yes, the voice acting is a bit interesting, but I have watched subbed, so calm down. It's not like I've watched it all just in dub, don't worry, I have some actual frame of reference for that. So it's written by Reiko Yoshida, I'm sorry if I mispronounced that, and illustrated by Mia Ikuma. Sorry, I really butchered that. But I do actually have copies of the original manga in my house. I will show you them right now. Obviously, as you can tell, the new volumes are released by Kodansha Comics themselves, whereas the original was released on the Tokyo Pop format, a publishing company that I don't believe is around anymore. But as you can see, I put enough effort into at least collect the whole series. I really love this. And another note that I wanted to put out there, I know I haven't done a lot of anime related content in a while, but that's not because my love for anime has gone necessarily. It's just been, I've needed more motivation, and that's why I'm doing this video of this series. But as you can see, the books, they look amazing, right? 10 out of 10. But I quickly want to talk about the really tiny differences that there are between the dubbed and the subbed version. So the first obvious difference is the fact that the transformation sequence in this show is different based on what version you watch. If you watch the dubbed, it's a lot more toned down, whereas the sub shows a lot more body-wise, I guess you could say, as they're transforming, whereas I believe in the dub, one character in particular has her entire transformation just cut out apart from when she's doing group transformations, so I always thought that was a little interesting. Also, a difference, and probably the biggest difference, is seen through the names of the different characters. So you have the original subbed, where the names were Ishigo, Mint, Lettuce, Zakura-san, Pudding, and in the dub they've obviously been changed to more westernized names like Zoe, Bridget, Corina, and you know, so on and so forth. I won't spoil too much anyway, but either way, these are just a few of the differences, and obviously because it was dubbed by Kids TV, it had to be a little bit more appropriate. So even names of enemies are different in the sub than they are in the dub. In the dub, they are known as Predasites, so you know, they have very different varying names depending on which version you choose to watch. And fun fact also is, you cannot, and I mean you cannot, buy this anime on DVD at all, apart from in subbed anyway. You cannot find a dubbed version at all. The only copy of this show that I even own is a French copy that I can't understand for the life of me. So you can imagine that when I heard the news of them bringing out a remake, I was understandably very, very hyped for it, and I am very much looking forward to that, and we will talk about that momentarily. But now we're moving on to the next category, which is just explaining a small synopsis of the story before we go into the remake and what that entails.
You're really interested in the endangered animals exhibit?
Yeah, Yeah, and I know you're interested too. I mean, you know, not that I was asking around.
I'm not gonna lie to you. The initial premise of this story is not all that appealing. And there is a reason for that, I feel. And I feel like that's because they amped up the romantic insinuation in the first episode. So the way that it starts out is our main protagonist here, Zoe or Ishigo, depending on what name you prefer, has a crush on this guy called Mark, or Aomaku in the subbed. And basically she ends up going on a date with him to an endangered animal exhibit, when I can actually say that correctly. And basically from then, that's when basically shit hits the fan.
I can't feel my feet. I can't feel my feet. I rule.
So, you know, she's having a good time, enjoying her date. Mark goes to get her a drink, and then out of what seems to be nowhere, apart from this short clip of these two guys doing like sciencey stuff, you basically see where she gets transmuted, I think might be the word, with animal DNA, specifically the wildcat that was shown previously in the episode. And this is kind of where she gets turned into a freak, as she would call it. The whole plot is basically her covering up the fact that she's a magical girl from her crush and being able to save the world at the same time, along with obviously the main story plot of what is actually going on. That is, however, all I really want to talk about when it comes to main story plot. I don't want to spoil too much, but what I will say is the cast of characters are amazing. You have, obviously, the other 4 girls that end up fighting alongside Zoe in the initial series. You've got, obviously, they're spliced with different animal DNA, as can be seen here. But it's pretty much them fighting together to save the world and that usual stuff. And bringing me on to characters, I have to say that there is quite a lot of character development. I mean, there are some very obvious anime archetypal personalities here, but what we do have is really good, and I really like the characters and how well they work together. MizzCrow-san, I'm not so sure about. I never really liked that character, to be honest, but the rest of the characters good. The 2 guys that help you on your journey, very, very good. So I really enjoy the story for what it was. It was just kind of sucky that it was split into 2 separate parts, so that was the thing that annoyed me ever so slightly. And the pet side character, Mew Mew, he is the cutest thing I have ever seen, and I wish that the plushies were more readily available, because he is the cutest mascot I've ever seen in an anime. And honestly, I have a huge track record with Tokyo Mew Mew, because if I had never watched this anime, I don't think I would know what anime was, because in all honesty, I watched the initial dubbed series and only half of it has been dubbed, so only the first half of the series is in dub and the rest of it's subtitled, so obviously I had to go and outsource that myself, which then led me to realise that I'm a bit of a nerd and that I really, really enjoyed the show, and I enjoyed it so much that I managed to watch it with subtitles, the rest of it, because of how much I loved it. Either way, the episodes span out to about 57 episodes for the entirety of the show, and I think you'll be delighted to find that you can indeed find the first half of this anime for free pretty much on YouTube with the English dub, as well as watching the subtitled on YouTube, so you can watch this whole series pretty much free of charge. I would recommend waiting anyway until the remake, but I'm going to get onto that right now. So let's get into the all new remake.
You listen here, mister! We will no longer give up all of our precious free time searching for some dumb hunk of crystal that may or may not be buried somewhere underneath this huge city! Are you with me?
Oh yeah? Well, that's too bad!
You're nothing but a slave driver, and I've got one more thing I want to say to you, boss man!
Okay, so we're now talking about the remake that is scheduled to be released in 2022, which everyone is super excited about, me included, because there are a lot of fans to this show. Even though I don't think it's that well popularised, I do think that there are a lot of hardcore fans. There's a lot of YouTubers that I know that have loved this show, so I know that the remake's going to be popular. And the thing that I really want to happen is, obviously with a remake means that there will be hopefully a decent amount of releases, which means I'll actually be able to buy a copy of the remake, which is wonderful because I've wanted a remake of this show for about as long as I can remember, because I feel like there's a lot there plot-wise that they can do to make it a bit more, I don't know, edge, I guess you could say, make it a bit more interesting. But I really do love the original, so I don't feel like it has to be changed. I'm more looking at it from the perspective of I'll actually be able to own a copy, and some of the characters have had some changes to their physical appearances in the show in the brand new remake, such as Zoe's hair being slightly different and other things. You can look up a poster photo that should show you the ranged differences. But all in all, Tokyo Mew Mew, aka Mew Mew Power, is definitely worth a watch, and I would definitely recommend for those who aren't really into the girly stuff, give it a shot anyway. You can ignore the romance aspect of things because the main story does take away a huge part of that, and I do think it's an experience worth viewing at least once. So am I down for this remake? 100%. I love the story of the original. All I hope when they do the remake is that they don't change a great deal of the content. I mean, they can change it to make it better, but as long as they're not changing the characters that I've grown to love. And, you know, the whole reason that I love anime, as I previously stated, is because of this show. So I just hope that they can do it justice, because I love it so much, and I cannot tell you guys enough how much I wish that you guys would view this show, how much I highly recommend it. It is a really good magical girl show, and I found that a lot of people that I speak to anyway, they don't even know it exists. So it would be really good, and I think that this remake will get the attention that it really needs to really set Tokyo Mew Mew aside from the other counterparts when it comes to magical girl shows. I know a lot of people can relate this to card captors, so I believe it has its own unique style, and I really like the animal theme that is spliced in with it, instead of it being like a Sailor Moon or card captor situation. I do like the way that it's presented, and I am stoked to see what they bring me in the future for the new remake. And I want to know your guys' thoughts too, and what you think, whether you've watched the show or you've never heard of it up until now. Please feel free to share your experiences with this anime and what you thought. And thank you guys so much for watching. I just wanted to pretty much just praising this show, to be honest. This wasn't as informative, but I hope that this was somewhat informative to you in some way. If not, hopefully you like Tokyo Mew Mew and you're a huge stan for it like I am, and then maybe you can, you know, point some things out that I missed. But thank you guys so much for watching this video. It was a blast to make, and honestly, this show brings back so many memories, and I'm so happy that I could share that all with you. So thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, I will go back to hell where I belong. See you later, guys. Peace!